Hi, I'm Ethan Green from NoSleeplessNights.com, and in this video I'm going to be doing an unboxing and review of the SleepPhones by the company AcousticSheep. These are headphones which work via Bluetooth, so you don't need a cable in your bed connecting to your audio device, and they have a fabric headband, which means that they're hopefully going to be comfortable to sleep on your back, your side or your front. So without further ado, let's pop over to the table, unbox them, and then after that I'm going to test them out for a few nights and compare them to some other headphones that I've been testing recently, and then I'll get back to you with a final verdict and some pros and some cons. Before I open them, it's worth noting that first impressions do count, and they come in quite an attractive box, so they'd make a good gift. And here you can see that this is a large size. I have a large head, but they do come in different sizes, which is nice because some of these headphones are one size fits all. So let's open it up and see what we've got. Okay, just remove the plastic packaging there. Don't need that for now. Okay, so we've got the instructions here. I shall have a look at those in a minute. Have a charging cable, presumably for the headphones, and it looks like we've got a USB to, what have we got in there? Micro USB. I know I'm going to have to charge these up as well before I continue with the review. So I'll put those out of the way for now. And here are the actual headphones. Okay, so you can see it has this headband here, and I've actually gone for this more polyester kind of micro mesh, I'm not quite sure what you'd call it, material, rather than the comfortable thick fabric which you can get as well, like the fleecy one. So I have LXL. Oh, my head's just expanded to extra large apparently. So here we have the headphones. Let's take a closer look at those. So I couldn't get the sticker off my finger. So we have the little tag here saying SleepPhones, which is very small. You could remove that if you wanted to. And it's worth noting that this is quite stretchy, which is good. So I'm looking forward to testing that on my head. And the material is really quite lightweight, it seems. It does look like it's a double layer, but it's going to be definitely cooler than the fleece material, which is good. So looking around it, I can feel one speaker here. Looks very flat, which is going to be ideal when you're sleeping on your side, hopefully. And then we've got what looks like the control unit in there and another speaker. So I'm just looking around it, and you can see me kind of struggling to work out what to do next, as I can't actually find an opening to get to the components. Ah, here we go. It's on the front, a little Velcro pouch. Now that looks really tiny. I'm just wondering how I'm supposed to get in and out of there to grab whatever control unit I need. Okay, here we go. So this looks like, is that the control unit? Is that the charger? Right, okay, I think I need to put these aside and have a look at the instructions, because I'm obviously struggling to work out what to do there. So the user guide, we have wearing them. Okay, that's going to be fairly straightforward. Basic wireless headphone usage, power on, volume off, skip tracks, play and pause. So that must be this here. Okay, yeah, okay, so now I can see what's going on. The piece that I've just removed has the center button and the up and down for volume and also for changing tracks. Fairly standard with these headphones. The Levins that I looked at recently also had these, and a couple of others that I've tried. But obviously you wouldn't take this out when you're using it in the night. It would sit inside the headband, and you would then just have to learn whereabouts it is on your head and press the buttons. So I'll leave that there for now. Pairing it, obviously it works with Bluetooth, so I need to know that. Remove the module from the hook and loop opening at the back of the headband. That's what I've already done. Hold down the square button for 5 seconds until you hear the tones, and then connect it with your device. So I'm going to need to charge it up before I do that anyway. So here we go, that's what I needed, the charging instructions. By the way, I apologise if this is boring going through the instructions, but I know I kind of do this in part because people sometimes write to me asking me for instructions for devices or items that they've bought. So I figured that it would be a nice thing to do would be to go through the instructions relatively slowly so people can see what they are. So here we go. Open the hook loop at the back of the headband. I've done that. Remove the Bluetooth module. I've done that. Plug in the micro USB cable into the micro USB port. Okay, that's going to be fairly straightforward to do. And plug it into your computer or any USB wall adapter. It doesn't come with an adapter, but that's quite common these days, I've found. So there you go. The module is fully charged when the red light disappears. Recommend charging after every use, which typically takes up to 3 hours. So I'm guessing I'm going to have to charge this up and come back to test them out. Washing instructions. So you're going to have to remove everything. Now that loop, let's just go back to it again. It's pretty small, and I know sometimes getting components out of these headbands is a little bit fiddly, so I'm going to play around with that and I'll time it and I'll tell you exactly how long it takes a bit later on in the review. Prolong the life of your headphones and then some troubleshooting. Okay, so let me just have another look at this before I actually do the uncharging. I want to get one of these speakers out so I can look at it and show you the size. I'm just going to pull gently on these wires and hope that they come out in one piece. There we go, this is the first one. Yeah, you come on. Coax it out. It's like a shy animal, it doesn't want to come out. Okay, there we go. So there's the speaker and it's really flat. And what I really like just looking at it is that it's also padded. A couple of other headphones that I've looked at recently, they put the speaker in, but then they don't have any padding, and so you can really feel them on your ear. But this has got padding on the speaker, which then goes inside the headphones, which have more padding. So I'm hoping that this is going to be even more comfortable than the ones that I've tried recently. So my first impressions then are pretty good. It looks smart, it looks nice, it's well put together. Definitely looks like it's better designed than some of the cheaper ones that I've picked up recently online. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to trying them out. So let me charge them up and then I shall be back, and I'm going to play the sounds and play it next to my microphone so you can have a quick listen before I go and test them in the bedroom. Okay, it's now 3 hours later and I've fully charged them. I thought I'd play you some music and a podcast through the headphones. I've actually skipped ahead a bit because I wanted to save some time in the video, so I've inserted the module back into the headband, which is a little bit fiddly but not too difficult. And I've also connected via Bluetooth to my phone, which was very straightforward as well. So I'm going to bring this off camera and hold one of the speakers close to my microphone, which is a fairly cheap $30 lavalier microphone. And let's play a podcast so you can have a listen.
When you eat it with a copper spoon, it tastes really metallic and sharp and bitter, but when you did the strawberry yogurt, it tasted...
Okay, there you go, and it seems like the spoken word is really quite clear, at least at first glance. So now let me find some music that we can listen to, so you have an idea of what that's like as well. Okay, so there you go, music and podcast. To me, that sounds really quite good. So now I'm going to go to the bedroom tonight and I'm going to test them out. And I'm actually going to wear them for a few days, a few different nights, so I can give you a good impression of what they're like. So I've now worn these SleepPhones every night for the last 5 nights, and so far I've been really impressed by how comfortable they are. For me, that's the number one thing, especially as a side sleeper. I think having that extra padding around the speaker, which is then encased in even more fabric around the headband, just means that they're really comfortable. And because the speaker is so flat, I found that I can have them underneath my ear, between my ear and the pillow, for hours and hours and feel absolutely fine. So that's really good news. Second thing is that the headband itself is made from a really soft and stretchy fabric and hasn't left any marks on my skin or my forehead, for example, after sleeping with them all night, and that's also really good news. Now, where the sound quality is concerned, I have to say the maximum volume isn't exactly the loudest that I've heard from headphones by any means, but I can hear them really clearly when I'm listening to radio or a podcast, and for soft and quiet music like classical or ambient, it's absolutely fine. And I think if you're someone that likes to listen to really loud music when you're falling asleep, or heavy rock, for example, then you might find that you perhaps want a little bit more oomph from your speakers. And so these headphones might not be the ones for you. But if you just want to listen to music or radio quietly and not disturb a partner if you sleep with someone, then I think they're absolutely fine. Now I'm going to compare them to some other headphones. This bit normally takes a while, I know from previous videos, so if you're not interested in that, then perhaps skip ahead for a couple of minutes till the part when I'm on the sofa again giving my final verdict. So first of all, let's take these off and compare them to some other fabric headphones I tested recently. These are the Levin's headphones. I've actually seen some others that have the same design but with a different name, so not quite sure what's going on there. So let's put these on, and for me, these, considering they're about 3 times cheaper, I mean the SleepPhones cost $99 at the time of doing this review and these were $30. The sound quality is actually really good on these and they're louder, that's for sure. But the problem is that they don't have so much padding around the speaker. So right now I can feel the speaker underneath my ear much more with the SleepPhones. So I definitely recommend the SleepPhones over these. Also, they have this strange control unit on the front, which aesthetically is kind of ugly. Well, very ugly for me anyway, but it does mean that the buttons are easier to find, and that's something I'll talk about a little bit later with my pros and cons. But with these, the buttons are very easy to find. The SleepPhones, not so much so. You kind of have to fiddle around with them. But for comfort, definitely the SleepPhones. Now next up we've got the Dobslabs bedphones. Now these, for sleeping on your back, these are absolutely fantastic, especially if you need to listen out for young kids, for example. They just kind of hook over your ear and they don't have any padding and no heat build up from headband rather. And so they're great on your back. However, the wire for me makes them not quite so practical to sleep on your side. So I would definitely recommend the SleepPhones if you're a side sleeper, and also if you just want the music kept a little bit closer to your ears, because these kind of can move away a little bit in the night time. Next up, let's look at some normal headphones. First of all, my little AKGs. Now these, I find that because they're so small, they can kind of sit inside my ear and I can sleep and lie on my side quite comfortably. However, there's definitely something in your ear, I can still feel it. So I think for me, I would probably prefer the SleepPhones as a side sleeper. However, for overall music quality, sound quality rather, these AKGs are pretty unbeatable in comparison. Now, let's have a look at some noise cancelling headphones. First of all, my in-ear Bose Quiet Comforts. Now these are amazing for noise cancelling and also for the sound quality, absolutely fantastic. However, because they're so big, it does mean that there's a sizable lump in your ear when you're on your side and even on your back as well. And they're like the AKGs, they'll kind of fall out of position if you move around a lot in the night. But for noise cancelling, if you need to block out snoring or neighbours, for example, these Bose Quiet Comfort are absolutely amazing. But for comfort, especially as a side sleeper, SleepPhones, even though they're nowhere near as expensive, for me are definitely better. So again, you've got to decide what it is that you want. Our final headphones are over-ear noise cancelling headphones. Now, really, you could take any over-ear headphones and I'll probably say the exact same thing, whether they're really cheap or really expensive. It just doesn't matter what they are. The problem is always going to be the same. And that is, if you lie on your back, absolutely fine. You can lie on your back and you can move your head a little bit. And if you're going to sleep absolutely rigid, paralyzed, shall we say, then you can wear over-ear headphones and get really good noise cancelling ones, and you're going to be very happy if you're trying to block out external noise. But if you're going to move around at all, you're going to sleep on your side or you sleep on your front, it's impossible. You just can't. You've got very, very limited movement. So for me, the sleep headphones or any other headphones really are going to be better for sleeping. Perhaps if you just want to listen to music for a little bit and block out some snoring or neighbours and have some respite from that, then over-ear headphones are going to be great. But yeah, for all night long, absolutely impossible. So there you go, that's a comparison to some other headphones. Now I think I'm going to test out the SleepPhones for a few more nights and then I'll complete this video with some pros and cons and an overall verdict. Okay, so I've now had the SleepPhones for a few more nights, and so far I think there's a lot to like about them and maybe just a couple of criticisms which will affect some people more than others. So let's go through some pros and cons and that will hopefully help you make up your own mind. First of all, for me, the most important thing about them is that they're really comfortable if you're a side sleeper. I've tried many different headphones to sleep on my side, and so far these are the best of all of them that I've tried, whether that's others that are designed for sleep specifically or normal headphones. These are the clear winners. The second point that I like about them is that the speaker quality is good enough to enjoy listening to music and also podcasts and radio in bed. I mean, to be honest, the maximum volume isn't massively impressive, I think perhaps because the speakers are padded, but they're clear, and even when you turn the volume right up, the bass doesn't distort, which can be a problem with these kind of headphones I've found in the past. So for me, that's a good point in their favour. Thirdly, I like the fact that the fabric headband is comfortable, it's very soft and it's stretchy. It's not a micro mesh as I was guessing at earlier, but it's actually 95% polyester, 5% spandex, and it's very soft and it doesn't overheat. For me, the final major point in their favour is that they work via Bluetooth, so you don't have a wire connecting to your audio device, which is always better. They don't take long to charge, just 2 or 3 hours will give you enough juice to last all night long. And if you don't listen to music all night, then you can get several nights use if you're just going to use them to relax at the beginning of the night. Okay, let's talk about some of the cons. For me, the number one thing to bear in mind is the fact that they don't have any active noise cancellation. So even though they will block out some sound if you've got a snoring partner or noisy neighbours or traffic outside, they'll block it out just because they have music or radio right there by your ear and they've got some padding. However, they're not going to block out as much sound as active noise cancelling headphones will do, so that is worth bearing in mind. The second point that I think is worth noting is the fact that the components, the speakers and the Bluetooth module and controls don't have fixed positions within the headbands. There's no pouches to keep them in place. So that means that, on the good side, you can move them around, place them directly over your ears where your ears are in relation to the headband. But it does mean that they can move out of place in the nighttime, especially if you change positions quite a lot. One final point to bear in mind is that they do cost around $99, which for some people isn't going to be a problem. For others, they might have higher expectations of the maximum volume and the overall speaker quality. But I think if you're looking specifically for headphones to sleep with, then for that price, I think it's absolutely fine. If you compare them to cheaper sleep headphones, such as the Levins, for example, which are 3 times less expensive, however, you can really tell the difference in the quality where the stitching is concerned and where the padding around the speaker is concerned. So my final verdict then is that these sleep phones are absolutely fantastic if you're a side sleeper. They've definitely solved a problem for me, and as a side sleeper, I've never managed to find sleep headphones which I would wear all night, but these I would do. I think for the price, as I said, you need to balance your own desire for amazing speaker quality and comfort and also usability when you're in bed. So that's going to be a personal choice. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this review. If you did and you're interested in buying them, please use the link in the description below. Please also subscribe to my YouTube channel to keep in touch with me and see future reviews of other sleep products.